Legal ba na tawagin mong stupid ang isang witness? Or in the exact words of Senator Raffy Tulfo, so for me, in this case, you're stupid in the name of blind loyalty. Is that okay? What do our laws say about that? Meron ba itong penalty or is this allowed? So in this episode, we will find out whether the words and the treatment of Senator Raffy Tulfo, who in this case is a senator judge, towards the witness Gina Acosta is okay. Okay lang ba ito? I'm Attorney Bernice Piñol Rodriguez and this is the Hey Attorney podcast where every day, Monday to Friday, I will explain the issues that confront Filipinos and translate them in simple language including Tagalog and Bisaya in the hopes that the law becomes understandable and within reach. I'm here to enlighten and empower so that you will know your rights and do what's right. Welcome, welcome. Now before we proceed to the discussion, let's watch or let's play the video just so that I don't make any mistakes or misquotation, okay? Let's watch it and then let's talk about it.
Ma'am, nakapaniud na ka?
Gamay lang, sir.
Gamay lang. Unsa man imong sudan?
Wala ko'y gana mo kaon.
Wala, okay. Okay, tanong ko na lang. How would you consider yourself? Smart, average, or stupid?
Nasa average lang po ako
Average.
kapag katao, Your Honor.
Correct. Just like millions and millions and millions of Filipinos. Good, normal. Kasi sa isang normal na tao, kapag siya'y binigyan bilang isang SDO tulad sa inyo ng listahang pangalan ng mga informants na bilat, pagong at pusa, papalag ka. Ano ba to? Colonel, mukhang hindi ata tama to, bastusan na to. Di po ba? Para sa normal na tao. Am I right?
Nag-rely po ako sa sinabmit po sa akin ng security officer, Your Honor.
Kaya nga po, bilang isang normal na tao, ulitin ko, pag nakakita kayo ng ganong pangalan, bilat, pagong, pusa, etc. Belat. Okay, belat, same. Magugulat ka, di ba?
Magugulat
Sa
po.
Bisaya, yung pronunciation yan eh. Sa Tagalog, belat, sa Bisaya, bilat yun eh. Kasi yung I nagiging I eh. Bisaya din kasi ako eh.
With the permission of Senator Judge Tulfo, Chair would like to remind the gallery to kindly maintain silence during these proceedings. You may proceed, sir.
Kasi isa pa po, Madam Witness, meron akong kopya dito na kung saan maraming pangalan ng mga informant at iisa lang po yung pirma. So if you're a normal or average person, papalag ka na naman. Teka muna, Colonel, bakit ganito? Bastusan na to, lokohan to. Yung iba-ibang mga pangalan pero isa lang po yung pirma. Hindi ko nagtaka.
Piniripay ko po yon si Corner La Chica, Your Honor. At ang sagot naman niya sa akin, Ma'am Gina, those are sensitive information, Ma'am Gina. At saka, confidential in nature po yon.
So naniwala kayo sa sinabi niya na confidential nature kahit na isa lang signature sa napakaraming pangalan.
Kasi
So you
siya
took his
po,
word for it.
Kasi siya po ang nag-implement sa mga confidential activities, Your Honor, on the grounds. Siya po ang inatasan na mag-implement. Siya ang implementer po, Your Honor.
So for me, in this case, you're stupid in the name of blind loyalty.
Ano po yun?
Naging stupido kayo sa ngalan ng isang tinatawag na blind loyalty. Nakapikit kung ano yung sinasabi sa iyo ng nakakataas, sinusunod mo na lang. Stupido ka pa rin, pero in the name of blind loyalty. Would you agree?
Hindi ko maintindihan, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
And I have 2 or 3 points to raise. First of all, it's just so interesting to note that he started off, or Senator Tulfo started off so nicely and so politely and asked in Bisaya, nagkaon na ka, ninuto na ka? Or in Tagalog, kumain ka na ba? And then immediately goes after asking, are you intelligent, average, or stupid? Diba? Dun pa lang medyo brutal na for me because you didn't have to use the word stupid, honestly, as just a side comment, diba? It can be, what are the words ba? Intelligent, smart, average, or below average, right? He could have used the term below average, but instead he went for the S word. Bawal yung mga bata magsabing S, stupid. So S word, he went for the S word. And so it was kind of brutal. And then next he had an amusing time talking about Belat and Bilat. That feels so wrong saying it on camera because talagang yun yung inuna na word. And I think it was spelled as B-E-L-A-T. Diba? So it wasn't naman B-I-L-A-T. So those are just some of the trivial comments that I have. So first of all, let's talk about the kind of language that was used. Because after the questioning, after niya tinanong kung average ka ba or smart or stupid, sabi niya, Acosta, I'm average, Your Honor. And then he goes on to conclude that in this case, you are stupid in the name of blind loyalty. So let's talk about that statement. Let's talk about the statement that was uttered, or that were statements that were uttered by Senator Raffy Tulfo, not Erwin Tulfo, yesterday, August 24, day 17 of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. What does the law say about statements like that? Yung mga stupid ka, ganyan. And it was quite interesting because it wasn't flagged at all by anyone. Like the presiding officer didn't make a comment about it. But what does the law say about this? So, first, I made some notes for you. First question, meron bang karapatan ang isang witness na hindi tawaging stupid? Meron bang karapatan ang isang witness na hindi insultuhin sa mga ganitong klaseng sitwasyon na they are on the stand, they are testifying, and they are seated in front of everyone, and they are being grilled with very difficult questions, and then they are insulted along the way? Is that even allowed? Is that permissible? So let's look at the law. Let's look at Rule 132, Section 3 of the Rules of Court, as amended by 2019 amendments. So, let's read it together. A witness must answer questions, although his or her answer may tend to establish a claim against him or her. However, it is the right of the witness to become or to be protected from irrelevant, improper, or insulting questions and from harsh or insulting demeanor. Number 2, they also have a right not to be examined except only as to matters pertinent to the issue, and not to give an answer which will tend to degrade his or her reputation unless it be the very fact at issue. So this only means that when you sit as a witness, kung nakaupo ka bilang isang testigo, hindi mo sinusuko ang iyong dignidad. Sinusuko mo yung schedule mo, yung time mo, 'di ba? Sinusuko mo yung honesty mo, pero hindi mo sinusuko yung iyong dignidad. Hindi ka pwedeng bastusin lang. So that's what this rule is trying to say. So himayin natin ang rule na ito, ano? So first, sino ba yung protected dito sa rule na to? So any witness under examination, whether this witness was of the other party or your own witness, this particular rule covers any kind of witness on the stand. So according to Rule 132, Section 3, what is prohibited when it comes to questioning a witness on the stand? First is insulting words or insulting comments, and second is disrespectful behavior or harsh demeanor. Sometimes a question is delivered politely and gently, but the substance of that question is bastos or nakakainsulto or masakit. And sometimes the substance of a question can be okay naman, pero the way that it was delivered, the demeanor by which the questioner is delivering this question is bastos or disrespectful, then that's also prohibited based on Rule 132, Section 3 of the Rules of Court. Next question as to this rule, no? Who has the power to enforce, or who has the duty to enforce? The duty belongs to the tribunal, or in this case, since this is an impeachment trial, it belongs to the presiding officer. So siya dapat ang mag-implement and mag-enforce ng rule na ito or ng policy na ito. But of course, it's important to note that just because a question is insulting, or just because a question is harsh, or the way it was delivered was harsh, doesn't mean na hindi na siya sasagutin ng witness. It still has to be answered. It's just that may possible remedy ang isang witness kung nabastos nga siya sa pag-question ng judge or ng other counsel. So para lang siyang isang referee, right? In a basketball game or in a soccer game, merong referee who is there to strictly implement the rules, and he can actually penalize you on the spot, diba? So he is supposed to be harsh in that way. Pero pag sinamahan na ng mga insulting words ng referee, or kinuha niya ang microphone at minura-mura kanya, then that's already foul. That's already not allowed, diba? So that's already beyond his duty to implement the rules of the game. So essentially, parang ganyan yung sinasabi ng Rule 132. But of course, Senator Tulfo could say that, you know, I only said those statements because I'm trying to prove a point, or meron naman akong point sa pag-question ko na yon. Gusto kong malaman kung ano yung extent or ano yung kapasidad ng kanyang intellect. Yun yung point ko talaga, because ang susunod ko na tanong ay about sa kanyang discernment or sa kanyang discretion na pag-evaluate ng mga receipts, mga documents na medyo medyo off ito, or medyo weird, or blatantly irregular, mga ganon. So that's his possible justification for such harsh statements. So the question here is, yung intellect ba niya, yung IQ level niya, is it so important to be discussed in the line of questioning ni Senator Tulfo? So those are one of the things that you can consider, whether pasok ba siya sa Rule 132 on the rights of the witness. Second question, can witnesses be spoken to rudely, or pwede ba silang i-question na medyo harsh or medyo bastos just because hostile witness sila? Actually, hindi. Kasi hindi naman yan yung ibig sabihin ng hostile witness. A hostile witness doesn't mean na hostile or kaaway na siya, di ba? A hostile witness only means that mag-change yung rules surrounding this this person's testimony. So let's take a look at Rule 132, Section 13. A witness may be considered as unwilling or hostile if so declared by the court upon adequate showing of his or her adverse interest, unjustified reluctance to testify, or his or her having misled the party into calling him or her to the witness stand. The unwilling or hostile witness so declared may be impeached by the party presenting him or her in all respects as if she or he had been called by the adverse party, except by evidence of his or her bad character. So this only means that Gina Acosta was only declared a hostile witness because of these grounds enumerated in Rule 132. Actually, diniscuss ko to in one of my videos. Diba? Na because meron lang siyang adverse interest, but doesn't mean na kaaway siya. Kaaway na siya ng korte, pwede na siyang bastusin, pwede na siyang, itanong na mga harsh na mga questions like that. So, just to settle the matter on this particular issue, pwede ba siyang bastusin because hostile witness siya? Hindi. No, that doesn't mean na pwede na siyang awayin because hostile witness siya. Because hindi naman yun ang ibig sabihin ng hostile witness. So, here's the question. Pwede bang kasuhan si Senator Tulfo dahil sa kanyang rude questions kay Gina Acosta? Let's check the Constitution. Article 6, Section 11 provides, no member shall be questioned nor be held liable in any other place for any speech or debate in the Congress or in any committee thereof. That means merong parliamentary immunity. That means hindi pwedeng makasuhan si Senator Tulfo kahit na nakaka-insulto ang kanyang tanong kay Gina Acosta. So let's take a look at one case that was decided by the Supreme Court in 2009, the case of Pobre versus Defensor Santiago. Yes, the infamous and the iconic Senator Miriam Santiago. So sa isang privileged speech niya sa Senado, sinabi ni Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago na gusto niyang duraan sa mukha si Chief Justice Artemio Panganiban at tinawag niya ang Korte Suprema na a Supreme Court of Idiots. And then, of course, these are very harsh words, right? And so, merong isang abogado na nagngangalang Antero Pobre na sumulat sa Supreme Court and asking that Miriam Santiago or Senator Miriam Santiago should be disbarred by the Supreme Court for those harsh words and statements that she uttered. So ano ang ruling ng Supreme Court? Dinisbar ba si Miriam Santiago? If you know history or politics a little bit, you would know that the answer is no. Hindi siya na-disbar. The Supreme Court held that even though her language was offensive and disrespectful, contrary to Canon 8, Rule 8.01 and Canon 11, sinabi ng Korte Suprema na mali ang pananalita niya pero dismissed ang kasong ito. Dismissed ang disbarment case na final ni Pobre laban kay Senator Santiago. Bakit? Because there is parliamentary immunity. Because the statements of Miriam Defensor Santiago were uttered during her privileged speech, she enjoys protection based on the principle of parliamentary immunity, the constitutional principle of parliamentary immunity. But of course, this is not an absolute protection, okay? So, one of the things that you have to consider, ang dapat ninyong tandaan ay yung mga pananalita should be done during an official Senate hearing or Senate proceedings. Yung mga sinasabi sa labas ng halls of the Senate, like sa media, hindi sakop ito ng parliamentary immunity. And if yung statements or yung line of questioning is not related to any parliamentary proceeding, then hindi din siya sakop ng immunity na ito. But just because walang criminal or civil case na pwedeng i-file against a senator na nakaka-insulto or nag-utter ng mga bastos or harsh or rude remarks, doesn't mean that they are completely scot-free. Merong internal policies ang Senate that could actually sanction that erring senator. Let's take a look at the Supreme Court case of Osmeña versus Pendatun. Noong 1960, a privileged speech na pinamagatang A Message to Garcia was accusing Congressman Sergio Osmeña Jr. of Cebu in the administration of President Carlos P. Garcia ng pagbebenta ng pardon. Gumawa ang House ng Special Committee sa ilalim ni Congressman Salipada Pendatun at nang napatunayan ang bintang, sinuspindi siya ng 15 buwan for serious disorderly behavior. So tumakbo siya sa Supreme Court at ibinasura ang petisyon niya. So, the Supreme Court said that immunity protects a legislator from courts and from any forum outside the congressional hall, but it does not protect him from responsibility before the legislative body itself. So, pwedeng masuspindi ang isang senator for bad behavior or harsh or rude or disrespectful language even though they enjoy parliamentary immunity. So, in this case of Senator Tulfo and his statements towards Gina Acosta, which are really rude, diba? Calling someone stupid in front of everyone, in front of the whole country is rude, diba? So, question, do you think that the Senate should sanction him internally so he enjoys parliamentary immunity, diba? So, it's still up to the Senate to do that, diba? I'm not dictating them and I'm not saying that he should be sanctioned, but that's a open-ended question. Should he be liable for that? And because the rules of court have a supplementary or supplementary function when it comes to these proceedings, balikan natin nga ang Rule 132, di ba? Section 3, na sinasabing merong mga karapatan ng isang witness. Meron silang karapatan na maprotektahan ang kanilang dignidad while being questioned ruthlessly. So, hindi naman kailangan personalin yung witness, di ba? I saw the video, medyo annoying nga, yung the way that Gina was, Ma'am Gina Acosta was answering the questions. Yeah, medyo annoying, medyo frustrating. But yun nga, hindi nakapagtimpe, I guess, si Senator Tulfo with his statements. And honestly, it could have been worded better. It could have been asked better. Hindi naman kailangan mag-proceed sa ganong klaseng mga statements and ganong klaseng mga harsh remarks kagad-agad, diba? So assuming there is no legal liability, assuming na walang sanctions ang Senate sa kanya, sa mga words niya, or walang comment ang presiding officer, even if it's legal, kahit na legal, assuming lang, okay? It doesn't make it right pa rin, diba? It doesn't make it right to disrespect someone na basusin mo ang isang tao, especially calling them stupid in front of the whole country.